Hello, my name is Dalton Parker, and this is my client counseling video for PFTR 2423. In this video, we will be performing a counseling session on a case study, which is a 55-year-old male. For this assignment, I will be using my brother Jacob. He's the same client that I use in all of the other video sessions. So in this assignment, we are going to identify the stages of change which the client is in. We're going to interpret some of the body composition which we were given in the initial assessment. We're also going to perform use two counseling tools which can be found in the CSET Path Manual. And then finally, we're going to talk a little bit about nutrition. So to start us off, we must first identify the stage of change for the client. So in the assessment, we were told that the client is in the preparation stage. So people in the preparation stage are committed to making a change. Their motivation for changing is reflected in statements such as, "I've got to do something about this. This is becoming a serious problem." And too often, many people skip over the stage and they go from directly contemplation to action, and that's where they're gonna fall flat because a lot of people, there's time constraints, there are knowledge constraints, and there's different lifestyle factors that they need to consider to making that change, and that's what a personal trainer is for. So now that we can gauge a little bit about how serious the client is to participating in training, we can do a little bit of a body composition analysis. So assessing body weight and fat distribution is important because excess body fat, particularly located in the abdomen, so this is your trunk region, is a signal of increased risk for a variety of health problems. So today what we're going to do is we're going to perform two analyses, a BMI and a waist circumference. Now, both of these assessments on their own are not really reliable measures, but when combined, they give you a pretty good idea. So BMI stands for body mass index. So the body mass index is basically weight divided by height squared. Now, we know from the initial intake that the client has a weight of 82 kilograms and he is 170 centimeters tall. So what the formula needs is for us to convert centimeters to meters. So 170 centimeters is 1.7 meters. So if we plug that into the BMI formula, we find that the client had a 28.4 BMI. Now, the chart tells us that a 28.4 BMI is an overweight class. It also has a increased risk for health concerns. But like I said, we're gonna have to also do a waist circumference assessment because sometimes those results can be a little bit misleading. In the waist circumference assessment, we perform it because it's a more reliable measure, and our evidence suggests that abdominal fatness, so fat around the trunk, is a more important determinant of health than overall body fat. So we found that the client had a 101 centimeter waist circumference measure. Now, when we look on the chart for males, a 101 measure gives them a very high BMI risk. So basically, I'm throwing these very high and increased or overweight. What does that actually mean? So what it means is it's just a summation of all the results so that the client can easier understand the terms of where they are. So there's evidence and normative data collected from a population level, so to just average it out. So like I said, it's just an average. So now that we've calculated some of the physiological information, we're able to perform some of the counseling tools. The first counseling tool that we are going to perform is the decision balance worksheet. This tool is designed to help clients in the preparation stage of change to identify some of the pros and cons to increasing their physical activity. So the goal of the assessment is to have the client come up with their own list and to review some of the answers and weigh the positives and negatives. Okay, so like I said, let's go through the decision balance worksheet. So can you think of some of the pros for you participating in physical activity. If you could give me like 5 or just a few less than that, just give me what you can give me.
Okay, so I would say I would like my flexibility to be better.
Why would you like your flexibility?
I used to be able to palm my feet, and now I can't. I can barely touch my feet, so that'd be something to get back into.
Okay.
Muscular endurance, just because I'm working all the time, it'd be better to be nicer to be able to do what I do, but better and quicker, and be able to lift it higher and stuff like that. Aerobic capacity, about the same reason as the muscular one. Just want to be able to do what I do better.
So for like work, you just want to be like a better worker kind of thing.
Yeah.
You just want to be able to lift boxes more. You want to be able to run faster.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then weight loss, just like to shed 10, 15, 20 pounds kind of thing. And rehabilitation, I have messed up my back and my ankle and my shoulders in the past, so that's something that I should probably look into.
So now that we've gone through some of the pros, let's look at some of the cons. What are like some cons from stopping you from going to the gym?
My time commitment, so for work I'm gone like weeks on end, and then whenever I do have some time off, it's just for a day or two, so I just, get reorganized for work, get rested up, and then I ship back out, so it's kind of not really in the cards for my time right now. Motivation and commitment, same as the time. I can't find it, and if I can't make time, I don't think it's that important. And fear of injury, like before, I have injured myself in the past, and I just don't want to go and do something wrong and then have to mess something else up or re-mess something up.
Okay, perfect. So let's do a little continuation onto this list. Do other people around you, what are some pros for like other people around you? Because I know like being family and stuff like that, mom kind of harps on us to live a healthier lifestyle, just because like health risks run in our family. Like dad has high blood pressure. Usually males do have higher blood pressure, and he's just a little bit overweight. Could you like some other factors for that?
So having friends with the gym there, that'd be nice because it's better to go with people, not just to go alone. In my opinion, I like to go and do stuff with people, and since I don't really know anyone else who goes to the gym, and that does make a thing. And plus the place is
kind of like more of a drawback and stuff like that. So that'd be kind of like a negative. Let's focus more on like the positive aspects. Like I know you had mentioned like rehabilitation and stuff like that a couple of times. Like being a personal trainer and like physiotherapy, working in physiotherapy for the years that I did, I know that I harp on you to fix things. Are there other things that other people would like to see you?
Yeah, mom and dad would like to see me be more concerned about my hurting myself and all that at work, but yeah, dad is a lot like me, hurts himself and then doesn't really look after it, so
okay. So that's a good list. So in the decision balance, the total scores of the pros do outweigh the cons. So it is recommended that physical activity be performed, but like you said, there's a bunch of different time constraints. So maybe instead of like going to the gym, maybe we could perform like a yoga session, or we could do some like relaxation techniques, breathing kind of thing, to just increase the lung capacity, so we could get, like you said, better aerobic capacity. So what are some of the strategies for success for like achieving some of these things?
Time and help with nutrition. So living in Vermilion, the stores don't really have too great of healthier options. Like there's the vegetable section, but they go bad a lot quicker and all of that. So instead of maybe getting that bag of chips, I could get a thing of strawberries and eat them quick, or just deal with the last few going bad and be okay with that. I could also be around others that enjoy doing this kind of like working out and physical activities, but
and you said you live in Vermilion, so
yes, there's not much out in Vermilion, if anything, out in Vermilion for stuff like that.
Okay, that sounds good. So that's a little bit, and to that kind of thing. So basically what that tool was for was just like weighing your options, and determining, probably physical activity would be good for me. The next counseling tool that we are going to administer is the goal setting worksheet. Now, this tool is designed to help clients in the preparation stage of change to identify some of the practical short-term, long-term goals and the actions required to achieve them. So basically, like, let's just go through this sheet together. What are like a long-term goal that you would hope to achieve with physical activity?
Losing some weight.
Okay, basically we can see this from having an increased BMI and waist circumference, that this is something that we're gonna have to work towards. And like you said, nutrition, I kind of answered the next question. To achieve, what are you gonna need to achieve this goal?
Eat healthier, so nutrition, and to go to the gym.
Okay, perfect. How are you willing to achieve this goal?
As I said earlier, I'd be more willing to buy that 1 or 2 bags less of chips when I go grocery shopping and buy more fruits and vegetables that you can snack on or whatever, and then just deal with, if I don't eat it all, it goes bad, and just deal with that, or just eat it all, and yeah, just eat healthier.
So others will know that I am making changes when, because I know I'm sorry, I might just take over this question for you, but I know for you, we don't see you for like weeks on end and stuff like that. So a big thing would be like, hey, you go away and you come back, oh man, you've lost like 10 pounds, right? Just because like a couple of weeks, if you do change your eating habits and stuff like that, we will see those results. I might sabotage my plan by.
So at the end of a 12-hour work shift, it's a lot easier to, it is summertime, sit on the back of my porch and crack a beer and enjoy the afternoon, or the night I guess at that time, but that would be the probably biggest way to sabotage my plan. Or I am in Vermilion, I do know a lot of farming friends, and we go out and have some beers or wings on Wednesdays, or just go out or whatever at night, so that would be how I would probably sabotage myself.
Okay. So therefore, your promise to yourself, like you had said, and it basically alludes into the previous question, you're gonna make some healthier substitutions, that bag of chips instead of, or buying that strawberries instead of that bag of chips or something like that. Maybe going out like one less time or something like that in the week. So setting one of the goals, setting a goal for moving forward for physical activity, what would it be?
So, going out a couple of times a month rather than the weekly visits, and
what actions are you willing to take to make this a reality then?
No, going to the gym and learning something new about physical activity. So you do this kind of stuff for a living, and you are my older brother, so I could just call you and be like, hey, what's something I can do? Or social media, if I find something interesting, I could text that to you and say, would this help me? And that would work.
Let's set another goal then. I know you had talked about going to work and stuff like that. So I'm going to set one of the goals for you. Increase respiratory capacity. Now, I think that this is something that we're actually going to be able to help and increase with through like buto-nasal breathing, which is just breathing cycles just right before you go to bed. It's opening up your lung capacity so that you have more endurance. Doesn't that sound kind of good to you?
That sounds good to me.
Sweet. Okay, so success indicators for achieving these goals. How are you going to measure the success for achieving
So my weight score, so if I start losing weight, we can tell that it is working.
Okay. So like we said, we're going to take the waist, we took the waist circumference now, and then at the end of the month, on the last day of the month, we're going to do it every time.
Okay. Maybe get a nutritional challenge with my coworkers up there, up at work too. That way it's not, hey, they get a bag of chips. If I'm the only one doing it, it'll be easier to break.
Yep.
So get them onto it too, and then just do a challenge maybe twice a month, like 2 weeks a month kind of thing. And that could be a way, or and my flexibility. You were saying something about a sit and reach test we could do.
Yeah, I preluded to it earlier and stuff like that. You had mentioned that one of your goals was increasing the flexibility. So what I would like to see you do is do a sit and reach assessment at the beginning of the month, and then at the end of every month, just after all like the different new eatings, after like the different breathings and pushing your body and going to the gym maybe like once or twice, just to see if we can increase those scores. Okay, that sounds pretty good. So now that we've looked at everything, let's take a final talk about some nutrition. Nutrition is a study of food and how the body uses it to fuel growth and daily activity. It's one of the most important aspects of fitness, and it's often overlooked. So there are 3 things that everybody needs to understand to be healthy. You need to know your macros, which are your proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. You need to know your micros, which are your vitamins and minerals. And you need to know about hydration, because hydration is super important. So let's start off by looking at our macros. One of the first macros that I'm going to look at is carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates are converted into glucose, which is the predominant source of fuel for the body. Carbohydrates can be broken down into simple and complex carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates are more processed foods and with sugar added. So like your starches, like your breads, your potatoes, your grain products, like your rices and stuff like that. And complex carbohydrates are your simpler things so that your body breaks down, like your fruits and your vegetables. Now, the Canadian Food Guide recommends that older adult males consume approximately 7 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. So your fruits and vegetables are your complex carbohydrates. What we look at for sizes, serving sizes, 1 serving size of fruits and vegetables is like 125 milliliters or half a cup of frozen vegetables. Or if you wanted to go like with raw, there's like 250 milliliters of raw or like 1 cup of raw. It also suggests that you consume grain, which is your complex or your simple carbohydrates. It suggests that you eat 7 servings of those. A serving size for that would be like 1 slice of bread or like 30 grams of cold cereal is a serving size. The next macro that we look at is protein. Proteins are essential for overall health, to support the body's growth and maintenance, and they play a big role in the response to physical activity. So the Canadian Food Guide recommends 3 servings of protein in older adults. Proteins are a little bit tricky because some can include dairy products such as cheese, which may be considered fat, which is the next macro that we're going to talk about. The Canadian Food Guide recommends 3 servings, like I had said, and a serving size for that would be like 2 eggs or 75 grams of cooked lean protein. The last macro that we look at is fats. Fats are an important part of nutrition and health because it provides energy, it helps for the body to absorb nutrients, and basically we're going to talk about the micronutrients next. The Canadian Food Guide recommends that we take in a small amount of unsaturated fats, like 30 to 40 milliliters each day, and it also recommends us to limit saturated and trans fats. The micronutrients, like I talked about before, help to convert. Micronutrients are vitamins and minerals, and which are pivotal to body function. It helps to convert food into energy, bone development, normal immune functionality. If somebody eats according to the Canadian Food Guide, they're going to get most of their required micros, but it is recommended that we take maybe a multivitamin. So the last thing that I'm going to touch on is hydration. The body is made up of nearly 2/3 water, and it's used for almost every action in the human body. So it's really important to stay hydrated. Adult males require 13 cups or 2.3 liters of fluid per day just to sustain themselves. That total goes way up if you incorporate exercise. Now, just a little disclaimer here is I'm not a nutritionist, so I can't really give nutritional advice. I can go through like the Canadian Food Guide and I can give you just the minimum requirements and stuff like that, but I can't really answer any more in-depth questions. Like I said, I'm not a nutritionist, but if you do, I can give you the information from my nutritionist and they can help you out. So thank you very much. This has been my client counseling video for PFTR 2423.